What's up?
We are going to start a series today on basically race, religion, and politics. And woo, we're going to dig in.
Be ready.
This episode, I think we're going to focus on politics and religion. Because it's something we have as a couple struggled with, I guess you would say, since
Deeply struggled.
Yeah, since the 2016 presidential election. So I'll give you a little bit of my background. I grew up in church my whole life.
Yes, I know.
Like I enjoy church. All my friends growing up were from church. When I went to college at LSU, like one of the biggest party schools in the country.
The biggest party school in the country.
I looked up
Church
churches
groups.
like before I went down there, because I mean that's how into church and God and Jesus and all of that I am. So I was like, I don't want to go down there and just like mess up my relationship with God. So I found the LSU Christian Student Center down there.
She means party.
I didn't party. Yeah, so I mean that's what I did. Like that's how important church is to me. We got married in the church I grew up with in Norman. Yeah, like it's a big deal to me. And you also grew up
Absolutely.
going to church.
I grew up in Baptist churches. I got kicked out of a few as a young. I mean, I'm just gonna be real with you. There's a few churches that told my mom that we ain't coming back and picking them up. We rode the church bus. You know, everybody rode the church bus when you was little. Church pull up, the bus pull up in front of your house, runs out there. They give you candy and pop stuff, and then you go into church and you do all that kind of stuff. Blah blah blah. I was just a little free spirited.
That's a good word.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we both grew up in church. And prior to the 2016 election, we were going almost every Sunday, I would say. Pretty close
At least,
to it.
yeah. At least every Sunday, if we skip one every once in a while. But we wasn't perfect Christians. I'm not one now, but...
I just remember when, like, your brother met me, I used to carry around my Bible in my purse.
Yep, yeah.
And he made fun of me so
did.
bad for that. He was like, oh, you're the Bible thumper, huh?
He did.
So, yeah, I remember that pretty well.
That was pretty tough. That was pretty tough.
But, so we wanted to talk about, like, how politics has affected our church going. I don't know if it's really affected our faith in God, so to say.
No.
I would say it's affected our faith in man.
Absolutely.
But not our faith in God. It has made going to church and finding a church very difficult.
It's like a wool been pulled away from in front of your face.
Right.
And what's so bad? This is from my perspective. This is not on her. Okay. So if anybody that knows her, I'm talking about me. From what I seen after 2016 there was a lot of fake people in church. Fake people that show up every day and they show up in their Sunday's best. And they sit there and they be amen, but then those same people that don't like people just because of skin color. I can kind of pick those people out when we go in the white church anyway. And I was talking to my wife before all this happened, before 2016 happened anyway, because I'd be like, well, I really don't like this personal church that we go to because the people don't like me there. I don't fit in at this church. And it was a 95% white church.
Right, and we'll talk about that in
a different episode.
Future, there we go. Future episodes, because
I got your back.
Our series, like our next episode or following this topic, we're going to be talking about how church is still one of the most segregated places you can go.
Absolutely.
So, but we'll get into that in a different episode. This one, I wanted to talk about a key moment, first of all, that happened to us. To kind of, like, a lot of things had happened, but this was one of those, like, aha moments, I guess you could say. And it was one of those moments that made me feel like I wasn't accepted.
Yes.
Or wanted or welcome because of my political views.
You're sitting in the middle of the church service going,
right.
Son of a.
That's not what I was saying.
I was saying like in my head. I was saying it in my head.
So what happened was, this was the weekend before Election Day in November of 2016. This is something my husband and I have talked about a lot. This is a subject that's very hard for me to talk about.
Just take a deep breath, honey.
So,
still bothersome today.
Yes,
4 years
like
later.
it's very raw. So, I made a post on Facebook following this church service, because in this church service, the pulpit minister basically got up there and did a campaign speech for Trump. And at the end of it, like, the Make America Great Again banner was up on the PowerPoint. And it was just very, like, the whole sermon, I was just like, oh no, like, right when he started. Because I was like, I am one of those people that don't think that you should use your power as the pulpit minister to campaign.
Me too.
Like, you shouldn't use that for political power, because you're alienating some of your congregation.
Separation of church and
state.
Thank
yes.
you.
But anyway, so this is a long post, and I apologize, I'm going to be reading. But I made this post following that sermon. It says, hold on, let me get to what. I can't get it. There we go. So I've been back and forth on whether to post anything personal on why I voted for who I voted for the President of the United States. But as the actual election draws closer, I feel like I should give my reasoning, because I've been made to feel like I am less of a Christian based on my choice. First off and above all, I am a Christian, and I do not do anything in my life without going to the Word of God for the obstacles I encounter. When Jesus was asked in Matthew 22, what is the greatest commandment? He answered, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the great and foremost commandment. The second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments depend the law and the prophets. You're falling asleep in church. Look at you.
I apologize. I'm so sorry.
That's Matthew 22, 30 through 40. So basically, love is the greatest commandment in the scriptures. Jesus said it himself. We are called.
I love you, baby.
I love you too. We are called to love one another over and over again. And I am astounded at all the hate, discrimination, judgment, and name calling that this election has brought about. Disabled reporters have been ridiculed. Races of people have been called rapists and murderers and thieves. Other religions have been labeled as terrorists. Women have been disgustingly disrespected. And yet I am called less of a Christian because I could not, with a clear conscience, vote for someone that spreads division and hate.
You should write books. Like, I
I'm not
don't
done
read that
yet.
much, but I would read this and it would keep me interested.
Continuing. My next point is one that I also believe to be of extreme importance because it is talked about in the Bible so much. To take care of the poor and or the needy. In Matthew 25, Jesus discusses the day of judgment, and when he discusses judgment, do you know what he says you will be judged on? How we have treated others throughout our time here on earth. Starting in verse 41, he says, "Depart from me, accursed ones, into the eternal fire which has been prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me nothing to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me nothing to drink. I was a stranger, and you did not invite me in, naked, and you did not clothe me, sick and in prison, and you did not visit me." Then they themselves will also answer, "Lord, when did we see you hungry, or thirsty, or a stranger, or naked, or sick, or in prison, and did not take care of you?" Then he will answer them, "Truly I say to you, to the extent that you did not do it to one of the least of these, you did not do it to me." Christians, there is one candidate that is for the poor and the middle class, and there is one that is for the top 1% and will give them more tax breaks. The governor of the state of Oklahoma is out campaigning right now for one candidate, while our state is in a huge budget crisis and DHS is in danger of losing more programs and possibly being bankrupt completely in the beginning half of 2017. This is not taking care of our poor, our needy, our orphans, our mentally ill, and our developmentally disabled. And this governor was an option for one candidate as their vice president. I only bring up this next point because it was brought up in church on Sunday. Jesus calls us to pay our government the taxes that are due to our government and pay to God what is owed to God. Specifically, he stated, "Then pay to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's." Again, there is one candidate that has not only not paid their taxes, but has bragged about this action and how it makes them smart. What do you think that makes you as a tax-paying citizen in the eyes of this candidate? I guarantee you it is the opposite of smart.
Y'all didn't know y'all was going to church today, did you? You in church now. Bow your head.
I went
Too far. Yeah.
I want to end on this note. Do I think either candidate is perfect or without sin? Of course not. Do I agree with all the policies of the candidate I chose? Of course not. Do I believe for myself in my life in abortion? No. But at what point do we draw that line? If a fertilized egg is the beginning of life, then wouldn't the Plan B pill be considered abortion? Is birth control okay, or is it also killing babies by not even giving them the chance to become a fertilized egg and develop? To some, yes would be the answer to the questions I just asked in regards to abortion. My question then becomes, what rights do you believe women should have in regards to their own bodies and their timing in creating a family, if they even want children? Is none your answer? The other topic that Christians throw in my face when I state who I voted for is same-sex marriage. Again, I want to take you all back to the greatest commandment and the second greatest commandment, love. Does that mean we cannot, in a loving way, state why we believe in the things we believe in? No, but the conversation should end with love. I said this to my husband a few weeks ago when we were leaving church. You cannot lead anyone to heaven by condemning them to hell. We are called by God to go therefore and make disciples of all the nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all that I have commanded you. Nowhere in there are we called to condemn or to judge.
Ooh, tell them. Tell them.
We are called to love, lead, and teach. If you want to know God's opinion on judging others, then look up the verses Matthew 7:1, Luke 6:37, and Romans 3:23.
Like how she throw them facts in there? I love it.
Jesus took in sinners, he loved them and taught them. No matter what happens tomorrow, which was election day, God is in control. I'm simply defending myself and my decisions in the most Christian and loving way that I know how. Good night and happy voting. So that was in 2016. And it was right after a sermon where the pulpit minister basically campaigned for Trump.
Man, basically, don't cuss. We're talking about church. Today's Sunday. She's doing okay.
Right.
He got in the pulpit and said everything but "Make America Great Again."
He posted that.
But he posted it on
that was a slide in his PowerPoint. He didn't actually say "Make America Great Again," but he had the "Make America Great Again" slogan up on the PowerPoint. And that was my rebuttal to it, because we all know that Hillary was not perfect. And
no.
She wasn't a lot of Democrats even preferred candidate. In Oklahoma, I think we voted for Bernie Sanders and...
in the primary, yes.
Yeah, and I can't remember who. Ted Cruz was the Republican primary winner in Oklahoma. So if it would have been up to Oklahoma, neither one of them would have even been the picks for the president.
No.
So, I mean, we've said before, we're progressives. So Hillary wasn't our top choice at all.
No, not even close.
But when comparing her to Trump, to me, it was a no-brainer, because she foreshadowed everything that has happened.
Oh, she came out with a speech and said everything.
Right.
And it all happened.
Okay, so a point I wanted to make, which I kind of said at the beginning, but I wanted to throw some Bible in there, sprinkle it in a little bit, is if you use the pulpit for political power, know that you're being a stumbling block to certain members of your congregation. And that's why Jesus said in Matthew 18:7 that basically not to be a stumbling block. He says, "Woe to the world because of its stumbling blocks, for it is inevitable that stumbling blocks come, but woe to that man through whom the stumbling block comes." Like I said at the beginning, this is a really hard subject for me because I love church. I love my church family. So not having that, because I was made to feel unwanted and unwelcomed because my political party has been really difficult.
Absolutely.
You know? So, this is something that has been brought up a lot. And a lot of evangelical Christians are, what's that called? Like they vote on one item, basically.
Single issue voters.
Single issue voters. There we go. And a lot of Christians say abortion is that issue. And they use this verse that I'm about to read as their justification for that. But I want to show you why there is so much more to this verse than just abortion. In Proverbs 6:16 through 19. There are 6 things which the Lord hates, yes, 7 which are an abomination to him: haughty eyes, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked plans, feet that run rapidly to evil, a false witness who utters lies. So lying's a big deal. And one who spreads strife among brothers, or I interpret that as division in between people.
Hope y'all listening.
I looked up the definition for haughty eyes because that's kind of old terminology that a lot of us wouldn't say today. It means arrogant, full of pride, having a big attitude, and acting like you are better than other people, acting superior and looking down on others, disdainful, overbearing, prideful, swaggering, obnoxious, and being elitist.
So, all of those abominations of God, of Jesus, every single one of those apply to Trump.
Right.
All of them. All of them.
Which is why it was very hard
To understand what was going on?
Yes, yeah. It was very hard for me, the justification that was being used to tell a whole congregation to vote for a man who has done all these things. Like, I'm not trying to be Trump's judge, which I've been accused of.
But you don't.
They are using the single issue of abortion to judge Biden, and he's never had an abortion. He's a man; he can't. But I'm sure he never has had his wife do it, and he's a devout Catholic. He is a practicing Catholic.
Can we clear that up?
Sure.
Republicans always say, "Oh, the Democrats want you to kill your babies." Blah blah blah. That's simply not true. That's something that was just made up on us. We don't think that. We don't want no baby to die or anything of that nature.
No one agrees with killing babies.
No one. Nobody that has a sane mind. But the fact that the Republicans say it over and over, you've heard it saying, if you say something over and over and over long enough, you'll believe it. It becomes true. And that's what happened. Like they said it over and over and over. Then they start repeating it over and over and over. And that's not the truth. It's simply not the truth.
It's not. All I've ever heard Kamala Harris say, or Biden, is, and this is Biden specifically, is he doesn't agree with abortion, but he also doesn't think he should tell people what to do with their own bodies, because he's not a woman, and he also is not, he's aware that not everyone in this country is of the same faith.
Right.
So he's not going to force his religious upbringing and teachings on people. So, like, we were talking about this last night. Like, if you throw the Bible in an atheist face, what are you accomplishing?
Nada, because they don't even believe in the Bible.
They don't believe in the Bible. They don't believe in God. Here's our dog. They don't believe in any of that. So why throw something they don't believe in their face to try to make your point? Because it's not going to work. So basically I wanted to dissect that verse a little more. So I gave the definition of having haughty eyes, which is basically saying being elitist, thinking you're better than someone, having a big ego, not caring about other people, basically. So the next thing I want to talk about is that second part, and that's having a lying tongue, or lying. Trump has lied over 20,000 times while in office. Wow. That averages to 23 false claims or lies a day. And I have the sources for all of this. Like, I'm not just making up these numbers.
I don't know why I would want anyone in the White House. We've been used to
class
dignity. Candidates or presidents or any kind of politician lying every once in a while to get their bills passed, or whatever.
Right.
But this dude lies just to be lying. He goes outside and says that, hey, what a blue sky. Well, no, actually it's orange.
Right.
No, sir, we see it's blue.
He keeps repeating it to where people are like, no, he said it. It's got to be true.
Yeah, so.
So, I'm not trying to be his judge, but if we're going to focus on that shedding innocent blood part of this verse and link it to abortion and use it against Democrats or Joe Biden or whoever,
Right.
We have to focus on this whole verse. Like, these are the 7 things that God considers an abomination.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just abortion. So, to me, there's no hierarchy of sin. So, if you sin, you sin. Period.
Absolutely.
Point blank.
I've sinned probably 100 times a day. Just today.
So, like, if you sin, point blank, like, what I'm saying is, in the Bible, God doesn't say abortion is worse than lying. He says, no, they are both an abomination to me. Period. Like, one is not worse than the other to him in this verse. And
but to us as humans, pick and choose.
We make that hierarchy, like, oh, this is so much worse. And that's just not factual, biblically. Okay, so let's focus on that shedding innocent blood part. Not sure if y'all are aware, but over 210,000 innocent lives have been lost in the COVID-19 pandemic, and that's just Americans. That's not worldwide.
No. Are we the de facto leader of that?
We have the most deaths, yes. Most cases, most deaths, all that. And that is in a 7-month span. That's not a year. That's not 4 years. That is 7 months, guys. And it's climbing every day. It's not over. Where was I? So, women in the concentration camps that Trump has set up and separated families, they have been forced to be sterilized. They are having forced hysterectomies.
That's crazy to me, man.
I don't know what else y'all want to call that, but that's genocide. Like,
giving somebody...
You're cutting off a race of people just because you don't like them.
That
is the definition of racism and murder.
That's Hitler-esque to me.
That is Hitler. The Republicans in general have not done anything to stop gun violence and the mass murders that come along with it. Obama tried to pass gun law legislation right after Sandy Hook.
Oh, that was shut down quickly.
And it was shut down completely. And that basically told America that if we don't care about our kids getting shot up in these schools, we're never going to do anything.
Nobody matters. If children don't matter, they seem to complain or be upset about an abortion. But if children get shot up in school, they have nothing to say. They can't change any laws. If a grown black man gets stomped out in the street by a cop, or his neck gets sit on for 8 or 9 minutes and he gets killed on camera in front of everybody, none of that stuff matters to any kind of Republican politician if it messes with their money at all.
Right.
Money, it rules everything in this country.
It seems like the Second Amendment right to some people is more important than actual people.
Oh yes. I'm also a poker player, if anybody didn't know. I play poker all the time as a hobby. We haven't been able to do it for 7 or 8 months because of the pandemic, but that's what I do. I love it. And the last couple times we got to play, that was one of the deals, especially when Sandy Hook happened. I said, hey guys, I know you guys are Second Amendment guys, and all of them are big gun dudes, all of them.
But so are you.
And so am I,
just
though.
Went to the gun range yesterday.
I was shooting yesterday. So and I was like, fellas, would you give up your AR-15s to protect children? Hell no. Wait a minute. Let me slow down and ask slower and re-ask the question. Would you give up a AR-15 assault rifle that you don't need for real? You don't need it. You don't need it. You don't need it. I mean, it's a toy. Like, let's just say the guns I have, I want an AR right now. I've been talking to my boys about how I can sneak it in the house. But I really don't need that gun. I just want it. She's definitely against it. But these guys are so for their guns that they don't mind the kids dying in school for them to be able to keep their guns. And that's hands down, no equivocations. They want to keep their guns over children dying. That's it. That's what they said.
Right.
That's ridiculous to me. I would give up every gun in my house to make sure my kid's safe. What's wrong with these people and these guns?
Well, and the other thing is like MAC-10s and Uzis and all of that automatic weapons.
Please preach on it.
Are illegal.
Why are they illegal, honey?
Because gangs use them.
Oh, blacks and browns use them, and they start shooting up each other, and the police died a couple times because they had 60, 70, 80 round, 100 round clips. Couldn't do anything about it. They just spray. You can't do that. You can't shoot back. You're just gonna die. You're gonna get mowed down. They call choppers for a reason.
But with the AR-15, like
you can
it's not that much different.
You can make those guns in that area. I mean, just yesterday I put my hands on a 200 round drum. You can make those guns like that. You can put bump stocks.
But they don't even have to be automatic. Like I think Trump did get rid of bump stocks, didn't he?
Yeah, I believe so.
But okay, like they don't even have to be automatic, but they have a magazine in them where you don't have to like load it and cock it every time. You just go boom, 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 boom,
all
boom.
day.
Like it's not automatic. You have to pull that trigger every time.
But if you got 200 rounds or a 100 round drum,
yeah, it's not that much of a difference. I don't understand why those guns are needed, legal. I've got a shotgun that can protect me just fine if someone breaks into my house.
Yes, absolutely. But I mean, we kind of jumped off subject. That kind of makes me mad because
we're talking about shedding innocent blood. So
I guess it is. It's just like I'm a gun guy myself. I've been begging my wife for an AR for the last 6, 7, 8 months.
Yeah.
She keeps telling me no every time. So we'll be having dinner and
Zach did too. Zach told you no today.
Yeah, he did.
He was like, "How much are you going to use that?"
I think he'd rather have a trolling motor for his boat.
He said, you asked him, you went, would you rather me get a troller motor for the boat or an AR? And he was like, well, which one are you going to use more? I love our children. Damn. He was like, which one are you going to use more?
That sucks when a teenager is smarter or wiser.
He's
at sometimes.
Very smart.
Yeah. All right.
Anyways, let's get back on subject. So in regards to abortion and shedding innocent blood, this next point I'm going to bring up, you can Google it. There are multiple sources from The Guardian, CBS News, multiple sources say the same thing. I'm not just pulling it out of thin air. But we're talking about Trump and the treatment he got for COVID-19. He used a cocktail of drugs to cure his COVID-19 diagnosis. This cocktail was derived from an embryonic kidney after an elective abortion performed in the Netherlands in the 1970s. HEK293 cells, which are what's in that cocktail, are one of the most commonly used cell lines in laboratories across a wide array of research and would cost the average American citizen $96,000 a dose. So he is supposedly against abortion, but he used a cocktail of drugs to get the antibodies for COVID-19 to treat COVID-19 from these aborted cells. Well, cells that were derived from these aborted cells. So clones of these aborted cells. I don't know how this is being justified. I
Oh,
don't get it. I
let me tell you.
don't get it.
Can I tell you?
Sure.
If it helps them, they don't care where it comes from.
But if you're so against abortion,
They don't care.
and you're throwing Biden
They don't
and
care.
Kamala Harris under the bus, but you're a president that you are going to vote for because he's such a great Christian and he's so against abortion, but yet he's using aborted cells to treat COVID-19.
They
I don't know the justification.
don't
Care, I get it.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't see how you don't care. I don't see how, as a Christian, you cannot care about other people. I don't get it.
This is why these people need to be defeated at the ballot box. You can't just be nice and be like, hey, can we have power back? No, you got to take it and take it strong.
You have
to wait,
vote.
let me use a Trump word. Strongly.
You have
Take
to
it.
vote.
Vote. Everybody vote. Stand in line 6, 8, 10 hours. If you've been there that long, I throw out my cell phone number. Just call me. I'll bring you some drinks and some chips, something to snack on. Make sure you got strength to get in there and mark that ballot and slip it in that machine.
The other thing is,
I got you.
If you feel intimidated at the polls,
Never that.
because someone is carrying assault weapons with them and intimidating you, call the ACLU.
The ACLU, the police, anybody needs to come out there and be talking to those people that's
I don't
walking
know
around.
that the police would do anything.
I don't care.
Because they have a right to carry a gun.
But if those people are asking people questions, they don't have the right to do that.
They don't. So if anyone asks you who you voted for and they are carrying a gun, you don't have to answer them, for one, and then you need to report them, for two. The next part of this verse, a heart that devises wicked plans. So when I read that, what popped out to me, because this just happened, was when Trump told the Proud Boys to stand back and stand by. He has never condemned the domestic terrorist militia groups for plotting to kidnap and murder people, or peaceful protesters that actually have been murdered by these white supremacist militia groups, like Heather Heyer and the two people that died in Kenosha. Like, these people have never been condemned.
No.
For killing people.
No.
And he's basically told them to do it.
Yep.
So that would be plotting against your enemy, which politics shouldn't be like this. Like, we are all people, we're all humans, we are all American citizens. Like, we shouldn't be trying to murder each other over politics.
Yeah, if we're not always supposed to agree. Just because we disagree doesn't mean you're supposed to go out and shoot someone else because they disagree with your ideals.
Right. And just because you disagree with someone doesn't mean you don't love that person. There are people in my family that I disagree with wholeheartedly, and they disagree with me wholeheartedly. But they are my family, and I will always love them. We don't have to agree on everything.
Look at you being all cute and stuff.
I don't know. It's very disheartening to me. What?
Nah.
Oh, okay.
Very disheartening just to go there. Yeah.
Okay. And that last part of the verse was one that spreads division or strife among brothers. Like I said before, we're all American citizens. We're all brothers and sisters if we're Christians in Christ, right? Getting up on the pulpit and using that power to spread division within your own congregation is just...
Oh, just keep doing it, though.
It's damaging.
We coming.
No, I mean, to me, it's not even about politics. You should never get in front of your church and do a political campaign. I don't care if it's a white church or a black church or what candidate you're campaigning for. It should never be done, because you are always going to be offending somebody. And if someone feels like they can't be a Christian because they're a Democrat or a Republican, like, guys, like I don't think people understand how hurtful that is to people. You know?
Oh yeah, it's pretty tough. But just keep that in y'all's minds and hearts, man. If all you gotta do is take 2 or 3 minutes and skip over to YouTube and like, share, and subscribe. If there's any questions y'all have or any concerns or anything about this subject, please comment, man. We love the comments. We love to get back with you. We love the discussion.
You can also private message us at our email, which is mixedemotions2012@gmail.com. If you don't want to like be public with it, that's fine too.
That sounds sneaky.
If you want to be anonymous, that's fine. But yeah, I mean, I know I'm not the only one that was hurt by this. At all.
No, I was bothered tremendously. It shook me to the core. Actually,
Right.
I don't like to talk about my feelings and stuff like that all the time. But yeah, man, it shook my whole feelings or my whole thoughts on church. Period. I'm like, man, why do I need to go in these churches and they don't like me? Like what? Like you got to be white to go in these churches? That's kind of
Or
weird.
you have to be a Republican.
Or you got to be Republican.
Yeah.
Or if you go into an all black church, my wife is white, so
Right.
is she accepted in these churches?
And we'll
I
talk
can
about
walk in-
that next week.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to leave
For
that
sure.
alone. I'm going to leave that alone. We're just going to we're doing the segregation next week, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
We're doing racism and religion next week.
man.
So
Let's get to it.
Stay tuned for sure.
Like, share, subscribe. It's free. It's free. Doesn't
And-
cost you nothing.
And
Nada.
please, like, let me know how you feel about this. Let me know if there's points I didn't make.
Man, we'd love to see more
Yeah.
points. Just slam dunk on people.
All right.
All right.
You ready?
Everybody out there, get a black friend.